Usually when we evaluate a professional, say like a civil engineer, we just look at their technical skill.
Right. If the bridge they built holds up traffic, they did a good job.
Exactly. We don't usually ask if they're, a good person, but step into the legal profession and that comforting boundary just vanishes.
Yeah, being smart is absolutely not enough.
It really isn't. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are taking you, the listener, through the incredibly high bar of legal and judicial ethics. And we're doing that by looking closely at a Philippine Supreme Court case, which is administrative case number 5900.
And to really digest how the court handled this, we're using the ALAC method.
Right, so that stands for answer, legal basis, application, and conclusion.
Yep. It's a mental framework lawyers use to break down complex rulings.
Yeah.
Lets us see exactly how the court gets from like a raw accusation to a final judgment.
Okay, let's unpack this. At the center of it all is a fundamental question. Did Attorney Crescencio P. Co-Untian Jr. violate ethical standards in his role as a law professor?
The answer from the Supreme Court is a resounding yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and they anchored that decision on two main pillars. First is the Anti-Sexual Harassment Law, or Republic Act 7877.
Got it.
And the second is the Code of Professional Responsibility.
Yeah.
Specifically, he violated rules like Canon 7, which basically says a lawyer's private and public lives aren't separate.
Ah, I see.
So if you act immorally outside the courtroom, like in a classroom, you degrade the entire legal profession.
So to clarify that legal standard, does this mean harassment here isn't necessarily that transactional, this for that demand for sexual favors?
Right.
It sounds more like a toxic boss exploiting a power dynamic.
What's fascinating here is that the law specifically targets that exact undue exercise of power.
Yeah.
It's not just about a direct request for a favor.
Yeah.
It's about creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment. And when you connect this to the bigger picture of judicial ethics, lawyers have a continuous, lifelong duty to maintain good moral character.
So it's a standard that doesn't just expire the moment you pass the bar exam.
Exactly. You carry it forever.
Well, if the law punishes the abuse of power rather than just direct quid pro quo demands, how did this specific professor cross that line in his classroom?
The court looked at three specific incidents where he applied that pressure. First, a student named Toiko received unwanted informal texts from him.
Oh, like what?
Things like love you and miss us.
Yikes! Yeah, highly inappropriate.
Very. Second, he humiliated another student, Sagrabaria, by publicly showing a naked photograph to the class.
Wait, to the whole class?
Yeah, to the entire class. And he teased that the woman in the picture looked like her.
That is just awful.
It gets worse. Finally, during a class recitation, when a student named Dal asked him to come again to clarify a question, he responded with a highly vulgar joke.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he made a joke about how many minutes it takes him to, quote, come.
Wait, really? Looking at this specific fact, like informal texts and a tasteless joke, I can hear some people arguing that this is just, I don't know, a boomer professor being highly inappropriate.
Sure, it's just a joke defense.
Right. Not someone who deserves to lose his legal career over it. Especially since the students didn't immediately report him or walk out. If they were that offended, why is the court dropping the hammer on him when the students themselves just laughed it off at the time?
Well, you're hitting on the crucial concept of moral ascendancy. As their professor, he held absolute power over their grades.
Right, and their whole academic future.
Exactly. The court recognized that these students couldn't easily object without fear of retaliation. It takes an immense amount of courage to stand up to an authority figure who essentially holds your career in their hands.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, their silence or nervous laughter wasn't consent. It was pure self-preservation.
Given that immense power imbalance, the conclusion here must be severe. If the core violation is exploiting that exact teacher-student dynamic, I imagine the court didn't just give him a slap on the wrist.
Not at all. The Supreme Court handed down a 5-year suspension from the practice of law.
Wow, 5 years.
And a massive 10-year ban from teaching law in any school. The teaching ban is twice as long, precisely because the abuse happened in an academic setting.
Because he weaponized his role as an educator.
Exactly. So the court specifically stripped him of that exact power for a decade.
So what does this all mean, like, for the profession as a whole?
The court emphasized that legal knowledge without morals is a dangerous tool. Lawyers must be individuals of honor, not just people who happen to know the mechanics of the law.
Right.
They have to actually live by those standards to uphold the dignity of the justice system.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We don't judge an engineer by their character, just their bridges. But when you're building a justice system, character is the foundation.
Absolutely.
It leaves you with something to really mull over. In professions where immense power and trust are granted to individuals, should good moral character be continuously audited throughout a career rather than just assumed after passing a single initial background check?